So finally Scott has sadly had to say goodbye to Mvula as he heads east into Torchwood. And, well, just to show you what his son is doing, it's a little bit of a twitch of the tail in the grasses, but he's sleeping, so it's probably dreaming. And I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that gets bugged by these little flies. I know the cats do too. And that must have been quite comical to watch him trying to snap at flies. Fortunately, not much happening here in the way of insects. But I did hear, I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit, I did hear a few seconds ago some elephant in the distance. So it could be a little bit of the chorus that we're going to hear as the daytime ends, at the moon rising. Sun unfortunately has set already. We've almost got a wintry sunset this evening because there isn't a cloud in the sky. It's quite typical of our dry season months. Sunset merely changing colour through the haze of dust and smog that you get in low down on the horizon. It'll be a beautiful night tonight, actually, crisp and clear. We're going to try and stay with him if he starts moving, but if it looks like he's going to get into sort of any hunting mode, I think we'll leave him be. Go ahead. Doug. Hello, Doug. Question about leopards and female leopards. If the females don't move far from their natal territory, is there a potential for the fathers to mate with them? Interesting question. Because I think we've even experienced that before, that yes, it is always a possibility, and invariably one finds that female leopards tend to take up territory either within or on the edges of their mother's territory. They seldom do move far. Now, he's looking quite slim. I don't know when. We haven't seen him for a while, so I don't know what his last kill was or where it was, when it was, but judging by his concentration on the impala earlier, I'm pretty sure that he might move on to try and hunt in a little while. We'll see if we can keep up with him if he does, but for the time being we're going to wait until he wakes up. Bye everybody, enjoy. Cheers, Ryan. Age difference between Kunyuma and Mvula. I think a couple of questions that have come in regarding age and lifespans. Well, he is about 2.5 and his father is about 10, so let's say maybe 7.5 years difference. Average lifespan, I've known male leopards to reach 11 or 12. I think by that stage they're getting to be rather tattered and torn and pretty old. We have noticed that there are the odd females that have reached much. Wow, jewel beetle, giant jewel beetle. Just flew by. We don't see many of them anymore. They're a dying breed. And some bats coming out. But rather unique circumstances for leopards to reach that kind of age. For a male, though, I would imagine not as long as a female. So maybe 10 to 12 on average for an adult male leopard. Mvula is probably in his prime right now. He's still got a good few years ahead of him. But there is a fairly large population of adult male, or rather sub-adult, well, just leopard in general, and so the chances of being challenged are greater in a population that is as dense as it is up here in the northern Sabi Sand. If we look at Shadow, for example, who's Karula's daughter, she is now in the territory of Tingana, but she's quite an old cat. Well, not old cat, but she's older than all of her other siblings. She's one of Karula's first cubs. Her sister, on the other hand, is in Mvula's territory, but Mvula wasn't her father. Oh, the Bateleur flying home. Bet it's going to Leadwood Road. Now, most likely one of the reasons why he's decided to go to ground and lie down the way that he has is because he did make an attempt with Impala. Their alarm calls were pretty intense, and I guess he wants everything to calm down and forget the fact that there were alarm calls before he moves again. Once he'd been seen, and once there are alarm calls, it makes everything a lot more alert, a lot more aware of the presence of a predator. And if the noise dies down, especially with the changes of diurnal and nocturnal coming about right now, things do change a little bit. There's a greater chance of him being successful if he stays hidden for a while. And he certainly found a spot that's just that. There's not really much that's going to likely move through this part of the world. Right now, with the onset of darkness, Impala are going to be seeking open areas. The only thing that is likely to be around here is steenbok and duiker, which of course are ideal prey items, maybe the odd scrub hare. What are going to take to their burrows. Very quiet evening. Who is that from, Nikki? Oh, Clancy. Hi, Clancy. How's Ohio treating you today? Hope your knee's getting better. Do I have a favorite leopard, or has Karula got a very special place in my heart? Well, I think Karula always will be. She's been the queen of Juma for a while. Here we go. It's time for him to start becoming more aware of his surroundings. Karula is special. I'm starting to get a strong liking for these two boys in much the same way as I had for both Mishu and Induna, who were her second litter, the two boys that she had when I first got her. They were tiny, so I was luckily here right throughout their childhood, up until the point where they were leaving because her next litter came along, and I was very lucky to witness him interacting with his baby brother and sister and his father. And a couple of yawns, and then it's time to get up and toilet and continue his quest. Let's see if we can follow him, but if there's any sign of him hunting, I'm going to leave him be, because I don't want to disturb him. Chivinzi and Shavambalana were also special. Oh, was that elephant again? Oh, that's down near Twin Dams Road, just below the dam wall. So Clancy, I'd say that my favorite is probably Karula. Mvula's becoming a close. I never got to see Yambulu Yodan as much as I lived within his territory. I didn't get to see him that often. I saw him quite a lot though, but not as much as Karula and the boys. And also at home, one of my favorite leopards is a leopard at home, comes through camp. Big male leopard that lives around that part of the Timbavati and Umbabat. There's also a young female that lives there, and both of them come through past my house. Jeffrey in Texas wants to know, why do I think cats, especially domestic cats, well, I've mostly noticed it with them, why do they chatter their teeth? Why do they do that with their mouth when they're stalking? I'm sure a lot of you who have cats, you've seen your cat sitting on a windowsill looking at squirrels or birds, and the tail twitches and the whiskers twitch as they chatter. One theory was that it's sort of enacting the death bite. It's anticipating getting their teeth around the throat. The throat of their prey. Why do I think they do that? In anticipation, I suppose. In anticipation of using those jaws to clamp around their prey. Why do you think, Jeffrey? Did you pick up that elephant call? Mm-hmm. Trumpet. Let's see it. Not too bad, is it? A little better. Not flooding him directly with light. A leopard in the grass. Hello, little boy. Uppsala. Hello, Eric. Eric from a town up in Sweden called Uppsala. Nice to hear from you, Eric. I have a friend up there who did his PhD on lion from Salou. I used to help him with his lion studies in Salou. He was at Uppsala University many years ago. Eric wants to know about these young males, why are they still around and tolerated within the territory. They're still sub-adults, Eric. They're still too young. Although they're old enough to take care of themselves, they're just not old enough to challenge anyone else for a territory. Now, if there was area for them to move into that wasn't covered by territorial males that are older and more experienced than they are, they possibly could do so. There isn't really much place for them to move to right from here. They would have to move considerable distance. They'd be pushed over from Mbula. They'd push him, or rather he would push them further to the east into Kruger. I'm not too sure of what the dynamics are going into Kruger. Further west there are established territories of older males, including Tingana, who we've seen over at Arathusa, and then further south there are adult males down there that would probably also give them a hiding if they were to move there. So for the time being, for at least for the next 6 months or so, they will still be around here because they're not quite old enough and experienced enough to win a fight over territory or to defend themselves if they were to stumble into another male's territory. And for some unknown reason, these leopards are tolerated a lot longer within the parent's territory than perhaps in other regions, where maybe the populations of leopard are a lot more spread out. Look, the leopard populations obviously are determined to a large extent by the vegetation and the availability of prey species for them, and where there are fewer prey species, where the diversity isn't as huge, their territories have to be a lot bigger, as well as the habitat probably is a lot different. So there's so many factors that influence the dynamics of a leopard population, even locally, even though the Sabi sand, it might not be uniform throughout the Sabi sand in terms of how, or Kruger for that matter, how the leopard dynamics work. Well, this is how it works here in this part of the Sabi sand, or this part of the greater Kruger. Where are you going to go now, young boy? Because you are going to get up. No? It's not clean enough to go anyway. Interesting concept. Brenda in Pennsylvania. Oh, sorry, am I talking too loud again, young man? Brenda's asking if an older leopard was relocated to this area, wanting to know my thoughts on that. Would he do well? I think he would battle. I can't imagine it being successful. Especially since there are already established leopard populations. Look, I have no doubt that a leopard moved into a new area will be able to fend for itself, and it, being the kind of hunter that leopards are, quite easily find food for itself. But with the population of leopards that we have here in this part of the Sabi Sand, you can't just bring a leopard here and put it, even, especially an adult, well, even a youngster for that matter. It just wouldn't work. I hope we can catch up with him. I've got to turn around and find my way through the bush to see if we can follow him a little bit. But it might be time to just leave him be. Let him. A lot of monkey orange going through here. And oops. I think we'll leave him be. Take him too long. Can't be very far, but I really think with the noise that we're going to make, I'm going to leave him go. He is probably heading down towards. Pardon? Yeah, they just gone through there. It's just going to make too much noise. Yeah. See if he maybe climbs that termite mound. Right on top. Quite typical. He's going to use this as a vantage point, and not necessarily to see things, but also to hear things as well. No. I think he's lying down now on the termite mound. So we can stick with him for a little bit with this beautiful light, almost moonlight. Doesn't look very comfortable. Listening to something in the grasses. Oh, hello Mario. Up in the Netherlands. Nice to hear from you again. When are you coming back? I think Mario's coming back later this year to join Tara, if I'm not mistaken. There's a jumping spider on that leaf. That's gone. A little salticid. Mario asking about Mishu and Induna and Shivambalana. And as far as I know, Shivinzi, who was Shivambalana's sister, disappeared. I saw Shivinzi, I saw Shivambalana last, I'm getting confused whether it was last year. And when was I with Anne and MJ at Arathusa? No, Anne was at Thornybush. I was with MJ and Val at Arathusa. I think could have been last year that I saw Shivambalana. Can hear elephants coming closer. Can hear some branches breaking. He's not really too concerned with it. But Mario, I don't know where they went. Shivambalana was up in Cheetah Plains area, which is somewhat east of Juma, it's a little bit southeast of Juma. In fact, that is the old Juma Bush Lodge where Shivambalana seemed to end up. As far as I know, Mishu might have headed up towards Manyaleti. I don't know where Induna ended up. Haven't heard anything about those cats. Now, for those of you who are not sure who we're referring to Karula's previous male cubs. In much the same way that if we stayed here and we were to continue here, or for those people who will be visiting Juma in the future, you're not likely to see him and his brother after a while, because they're going to eventually move off of this area, and hopefully Karula will raise some new cubs here. Hello, Angela in Boston. Angela's asking about the termites that build these magnificent columns, these magnificent cities. What Angela wants to know what kind of termites we get. Well, this particular termite that builds these mounds, known as the pinnacle mound termite. So the group of termites known as macrotermes, and they are probably one of the biggest of the termites that we get here. We get a lot of other termite species, a lot of them much smaller, and there's only really one other termite that builds a visible mound. The rest of the termites either live underground or they live in dead wood. They don't really have such a large colony that they build a mound. But these pinnacle mound termites live in very, very large colonies. Oh, and they're not bugs, they're termites. But that's just something that it's just my own way of saying things. Because Angela was saying must be super bugs that can do this. But yes, I know what you mean by saying a bug, because to a lot of people, bugs are everything. Everything with 6 or 8 legs is a bug. But I like to be a little bit particular, and well, termites are not bugs, because bugs are different kinds of insects that have different kind of lifestyles. Elephant, that was a little bit of a frustrated elephant sound. Almost tantrum-like. Like a younger elephant being reprimanded. Some people commenting on how he hasn't snarled at us at all today, because he's usually snarling. Oh, I don't know, maybe it's just his mood. Also, maybe we've kept our distance. Maybe he's not really interested in us today. Trouble sometimes, because they have to learn. Maybe he's getting tired of baring his teeth and us not doing anything about it. But he seems preoccupied with other things. He hasn't really looked at us much at all. Nap time again. Is the moon behind leaves, or is it free for you, the camera? I mean, take a look. What? That's scary. What? My noise? Oh, the elephant noise. They're far away, Joe. Yeah.
You I can deal with it.
Me, I can deal with it. Getting closer to full. I think it'll be Saturday, a very special supposed blood moon rising special day.
So that's all we got, eh? There's just one little sticking.
I know, I was just thinking maybe there would be some leaves that you'd see it through leaves, but
Oh, cat's on the move.
you can shake it. Jupiter's now getting further away. The moon was 2 nights ago. The moon was right next to Jupiter. Oh, there he's getting up and moving.
I didn't know it was too long.
No, but he's just managed to find that one blade of grass to block his view. The moon and the leopard. Very special moments for us out here in Africa. To be sitting quietly. We've got the sound of elephants to the northeast of us. I'm sure the herd that we saw, the group that we saw earlier this afternoon, don't seem to have moved very far if they're still more or less in the same place. One of the best things that we can actually do is leave him be sleeping like this, because how we treat him will determine how he behaves with us too, in terms of that snarling, because I think a lot of times during the times of game drives possibly there's just maybe too much for him to bear with the vehicles. And I suppose this afternoon it's been fairly quiet for him. There's been Mvula, they've been lying up in Biffle's Hook. I think the Kahumas were up in Biffle's Hook. Oh, I can hear some leaves rustling. Is it you they're shouting at? Okay, copied you. I'm not far from you. I'm just a little bit more southwest. Scott's actually with those ellies that we can hear somewhere northeast of us. Far enough away. Unfortunately, we're not going to cross to him with the ellies. We don't put lights on ellies at night. But it sounds like he does have a little bit of a roadblock, and of course, well, at night we'd just leave ellies alone. I'm going to start preparing to turn myself around while he's napping. I can use a little bit of the rest of drive. It's going to go dark for a second when I put the lights off. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. Beautiful moonlight. Hello, Rita in Joburg. Oh, hyena coming. We can't go anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere right now. We're going to stay here. There's a hyena coming in to see him. But I'm going to just switch this light off Yeah.
Right there.
Rita's asking about the blood moon. I don't even know what a blood moon means. I just know that somebody said that Saturday's going to be a blood moon. Harvest moon, blood moon, hunter's moon. But Rita, we will still have our full moon as long as you don't have cloud. I don't know if we even have a name for an April full moon. Autumn. So he's watching the sound. I guess he can probably see this hyena. You can hear it moving around in the distance, but we can't see it again. It might come out into this little clearing around the termite mound. But that's going to put a little bit of a dampener on his activity tonight, because the hyena will probably dog him the whole night until he catches something, and then possibly try and steal it. And he's going to have to find a way to sneak off somehow. I should actually put lights off for now. Can you see that for the child? Kind of in two minds what we need to do here, but certainly held his ground, got higher ground. Hyena sounds like it could be on its own. Probably just looking around to see if there's anything. Very interesting that. Did you catch that?
I did.
Mm.
I got a big fright.
I also got a fright. I jumped in my seat.
Me too.
I'm supposed people might have jumped in front of their computers too. Sorry to make so much noise. But nice that he held his ground. Hyena obviously not needing or wanting a confrontation. Mostly sniffing around to see, well, if there's a cat here, then maybe there's a kill too. And the hyena is more concerned with stealing something rather than just having a confrontation. So fortunately it seems to be ambling off from whence it came. He lay very, very still. The hyena didn't see him until it picked up his scent where he walked up the termite mound, and then the hyena followed his scent up the termite mound. But the hyena actually didn't know where he was. Only knew that there was something around here. Only knew there was a leopard nearby. Sounds like the baboon have settled down around Gowrie Dam for this evening, and evidently alarming. There was also talk of a leopard at the dam wall a few minutes ago, maybe on Gowrie Dam camera. I don't think there have been any vehicles crossing the dam or anywhere near the dam, but Scott is close, and Scott will be taking a look if he can see where it is. And look, now he's looking at me, like he's blaming me for that whole thing. It's not my fault, I'm just a bystander. But that, I think, is our cue to leave him be, because that could have, well, I think worst comes to the worst, he would have ran. There's a marula tree in the back there. He would have probably run to the marula tree and scaled the tree. Best defense leopard has against the hyena. But I think having been alone and having stood his ground the way that he has, it's pretty amazing of him. I'm going to have to go back around this way, the way we came.